So, I have found something that we are all addicted to. Is it coffee? No. Is it Krispy Kreme donuts? No. Is it Nutella? Yes. No, it's not Nutella. It is our own worrying. It's Ryan from the Melbourne Centre of Healing here. Let's talk about this addiction that we all have, this addiction of worry. So let's use an example and we'll see what's really going on here when we get caught up in a worrying thought process. So let's say we hit a bit of financial strife. So maybe we have some unexpected bills, or for whatever reason we've lost some money and we're hitting a bit of strife. What can happen at that point? Our mind will visualize something to prepare us for survival, but it'll visualize some sort of worst case scenario. So in that case, it could immediately go to the picture of maybe losing your house. Even though it could be a small financial hiccup, it could picture losing your house, not being able to pay for the kids' schooling or feed the kids, or something of that nature. By picturing this, our body goes into a bit of an anxiety or a fear state. So physiologically, we can have a bit of a faster heartbeat, get in a bit of a panic and that kind of thing. And then what happens then, we start a worrying thought process where we try and think and think and think about some sort of resolution to this problem. What happens then, we think and think and think, and that can go on for hours, days, weeks. And we develop actually an addiction to that thought process. So why is that? There's a couple of reasons. What happens when our brain pictures something, it elicits more of an emotional response than if we just think something. So when we picture that losing the house or not being able to feed the kids, and we have that physiological, a bit of anxiety, when we actually start thinking, and it's a dialogue, because worry is generally always just in a dialogue, it's not so much visual. So when we go into that dialogue, it actually will reduce that anxiety a little bit. It won't get rid of it in the first place, and it's funny because that original thought is what caused it, but this thinking and this internal dialogue can reduce the physiological symptoms of the anxiety. And then what happens, the more and more we think, the more our brain, because we're essentially hijacking our brain in this instance. So the more we think about it, the more our brain places importance on that thought process. And what it does, it actually thinks that the only reason we can avoid whatever this made up catastrophe is to keep thinking about it and keep worrying about it, which simply isn't the case. Another thing that happens here is when we get caught up in this internal dialogue of worry, we can't bring in any new information to try and get a solution to the problem. All our brain will do, and all it can do in this instance, is keep referring back to data that it already has from the past. So it's like, I think there's a quote by Einstein, you can't solve a problem with the same mindset or the same consciousness that created it. So when you've got this problem that you're trying to find a solution to, you need to get that solution from some creative thinking. And it's impossible to have creative thinking when we're stuck in this thought process of worry. So we're caught up and caught up and caught up. And this can happen to a small, medium, and really extreme case. And if you want to look at the extreme end of the scale, when it comes to this worrying, look at OCD, obsessive compulsive disorder. And that worrying, if it keeps going on and on, it can have so much importance placed on it that you can have a thought process where you feel like if you don't wash your hands every 15 minutes, something really bad's going to happen. Or if you don't touch every doorknob in the house, something really bad's going to happen. And what that is, it's just an extreme case of these worrying thought processes going wild and not being stopped, and they get more and more importance placed on them. So what's one thing we can do to try and stop these thought processes? The earlier we catch them, the easier they are to stop. So even just knowing this information now brings awareness to it, which is a big first step. Because knowing when you're worrying about something and you think, I have to think about it so I can get the solution. By knowing this, that all you're doing is going back to old data, and it's most likely you're not going to find a solution, you have to quiet the mind and stop that process to get the creative thought to come in. So whenever you feel like these worrying going on, okay, I'm thinking, okay, hang on, I'm stuck in a worrying thought process. And if I stay in this thought process, it's actually going to get worse and worse, and I'm not going to find the solution. So right then you can start to bring yourself out. So if I'm not going to focus on that, what can I focus on in the moment to try and distract myself or get away from that? Bring an awareness to your body. So think, I'm stuck in the thought process, I need to get out. What's happening in my body right now? What sensations can I feel? What this does, it gets you very present in the moment. Okay, I can feel a bit of a tingling in my hands. Okay, I can feel maybe I've got a bit of tension in my right leg, whatever it is for you, but just really think about it and take your mind there. From there, once you've got in tune with your body, start saying, hang on, what's going on around me? Start paying attention to your senses. What can I see right now? What can I hear right now? What can I smell right now? This really anchors you in the present moment and pulls you out of that thought process. Then what happens when your mind gets quiet enough, and it might be in 5 minutes, it might be in 5 hours, it might be a couple of days, but when your mind is quiet, pop, that solution will come into your mind for whatever the problem was. Think about any time that you've had a solution drop into a problem. It generally comes at the time you expect it the least. You might be stopped at a set of traffic lights and all of a sudden, bang, oh, there's a solution to that problem. It's because when the mind is quiet, we are open like a receiver station to bring in creativity and find out the solutions to our problems. So I hope that helps, guys. Hope you can break that addiction to worrying thought, which is tough, but it definitely can be done. That's all from me today, guys, and I'll speak to you all soon. Peace.